What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica. We discuss lifestyle and mental health on this channel, and you are watching a part of the Interview with a Life Coach podcast series. Today we have a special guest with us, Mark Walters. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, that's perfect. Yes.
Wonderful. And Mark is an executive business coach, and you focus on burnout. Is that correct?
Yes, burnout. And also if someone's interested in a career change or a career shift, tired of the 9 to 5 rat race, because it's something that I experienced myself. So,
Is
do you want me to get into it?
Yes, please. Can you tell us a little
Okay.
bit more about being a career coach and in the niche of
Yeah.
burnout specifically?
So I'll tell you a bit about my story then, because it's been a bit of a journey, like I'm sure most of the coaches have. So, beginning of last year, I pretty much hit rock bottom. So my life changed considerably, but for the better. So I ended up separating from my wife, and that was in January last year. And then in February, I resigned from my career, my engineering career. I was just suffering from stress. I was burnt out, and I was struggling with depression as well. So I needed to do something different. And at the time, I thought it was the end of the world. I was in this deep, dark hole and I didn't know how I'd get out of it. It felt like there was nowhere out. But as I said, I ended up resigning from my job, and then I just started this journey of rebuilding myself. I started doing different things. I ended up working for a company that does building renovations. So it was a lot of physical work, and I helped with them doing driveways to building retaining walls and things like that. So I probably did that for about 6 or 7 weeks, did a lot of sweating and hard work and just being outdoors in the sun, which was good for me. Total change from what I was doing before. My job before was 9 to 5 office job, very stressful. So I did that. I did that for about, let's say, yeah, about 7 or 8 months, 7 or 8 weeks. And then after that, I also joined a men's group, which I continued seeing, and it's every 2 weeks. So it's a fortnight. That's helped me a lot as well, just opening up and telling my story and being vulnerable with other men who have gone through similar sort of experiences. So that helped me a lot, was this men's group. And I also joined Toastmasters. That's another form of, you know, public speaking and being able to express yourself. I felt like I was always a bit afraid of speaking in front of a group, standing up and just being vulnerable in front of people. So it was something that I've wanted to improve. So I'm continually doing that as well. That's still ongoing. And I do that. That's pretty much twice a month. And then I thought, well, what is my passion? What do I enjoy doing? And I wanted to help people. I wanted to give back, you know, especially people that have maybe gone through very similar experiences that I've gone through, which was burnout, depression, but also separating from my partner. But also I've obviously changed my career. So like I said, I joined the Jay Shetty coaching school, and started that in September last year and graduated end of last year. And I loved it. Really loved what I learned. I've printed out all the different modules with the hope that my daughters can one day read it as well. I've got it printed up there on my bookshelf. So one day, hopefully they'll open it up and start reading it as well. Because I think they should be teaching that sort of stuff at school rather than a lot of what they're teaching at the moment. So yeah, joined the Jay Shetty coaching school. And then in January this year, did the launch pad to, for the business side of it, getting your coaching business up and running, which I really enjoyed as well. And I feel like that's my passion now. I want to be able to help people, tell them, just explain to them what I've been through, and there's certain things that I've done and learned along the way, which I'm sure I can share with them. So that's the reason why I've started, coaching.
I love that. Just paying it forward and helping other people who are in the workspace experiencing burnout to navigate through that in a healthy, productive way. So if that means
Yes.
incorporate more work-life balance, if that means a career change, if that means looking at some other areas of their life that might be contributing to that burnout outside of work.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things that I wasn't really aware of. I think I've become a lot more aware in the last 12 months. So things like focusing on myself. I don't think I spend enough time looking after myself and putting myself first, because I always thought my children come first and my partner comes first, not before me.
Mm.
And the problem with that is that eventually, if you don't look after yourself well enough and you end up where I was, you just can't end up being a good father. Like I was at that moment, I was not a good example of a father to my children. I wasn't a good partner to my ex. My whole life was falling apart. So if you don't put yourself first and keep yourself strong, then eventually you become weak. So that's one important thing that I learned. And I think also that step of making that change is really difficult. If that's all you've done your whole life, like engineering was my career, I'd done it for 20 years. And I was very scared to take a step of doing something completely different. It actually took, yeah, so it took me hitting rock bottom to actually make that jump. But I suppose I'm coaching people who want to make that change. I've gone through it so I can understand what they're feeling and help them navigate that, making those changes.
Thank you. I guess I did want to ask you, what would you say is the biggest mindset shift that you had to go through from where you were before and why you were there with that mindset where you were feeling overworked and not putting yourself first to that change in perspective to where you are now and having more work-life balance, being more involved with your daughter, taking personal time for yourself?
Um, I think it was really just seeing that and noticing that I was not showing up for my children. You know, I wasn't being a great father. And it actually took me, so when I went through the separation period, in order for me to get through and get over the stress and how I felt and to start repairing myself, I actually took myself out of I needed to leave the home and I moved in with my sister because I needed to get out of that environment. And I moved in with my sister. That was a massive move for me because it felt to me like I was abandoning my children. And I was very aware of the fact that I was leaving my children behind, but I was doing that to repair myself.
Mm.
So I ended up living with my sister for, I think it was probably about 2 months. And my father ended up flying out from South Africa here to Australia to help me as well. You know, for a couple of weeks he was out just to help me through it as well. But I suppose you don't ever want to be in a position where it felt like I almost walked away from my children. I hadn't, but I mean, I had to just to repair myself. Um, with knowing that and not ever wanting to get back there again, I've actually got to focus on myself, make sure I'm strong and that I'm not completely depleted all the time with energy, that you take time out to focus energy back on yourself to build yourself up again. So, you know, it could be like for me, I need to do exercise. Exercise for me is a big thing. So I try and exercise once every 2 days or 3 or 4 times a week. I like to set myself goals. Like, for example, I'm into swimming at the moment. So there's an open water, ocean swim that happened a few weeks back so I did that. So I had a goal to train for, and there's another one coming up in April. So having those sort of goals is really important. Meditating for me, I enjoy meditation, but I must say at the moment, I'm just, with everything that's going on, I'm not finding time in the morning to do that. But I do find that when I do spend 20 minutes or half an hour meditating in the morning, it changes my mindset. Just becoming aware of all of those things where you can spend a bit of time, quiet time on your own for yourself helps you. And it's not big. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of time, but just focus time on yourself helps you re-energize.
I love that. That's what you did say that the one of the benefits that you found spending time with yourself is that you felt re-energized.
Yes. Yes. I think for a long time, the year before last, when I was getting into that depressed state, was I wasn't spending enough exercise, or I wasn't doing enough exercise, wasn't spending enough time on myself. And I find now when I do exercise, I end up getting more energy. So although you're burning energy, you end up getting fitter, you're getting stronger, and you feel like you can do more things. Also, I really enjoy surfing, but when I was living in Durban in South Africa, I was literally 10 minutes away from the ocean. And I suppose I took that for granted. And now living an hour and 15 minutes away, I was not going down to the ocean, to the beach that often and surfing. So, but now I try and get down there more often. It's still only probably twice a month, but I really love spending time out in the ocean, surfing, catching a few waves. It's just, for me, that's my happy place. Finding time for that.
By the ocean. That's good. I did want to take a minute to commend you on taking the time to honor yourself and recognizing how, like, by doing that, that you continue to support your daughters and your family. Like, I think it's so easy for us to get caught up in wanting to take care of everybody else when the best way to do that is to take care of ourselves, right? So now you have time, now that you've stepped away from a job that was kind of sucking the life force out of you, so to speak, to
Yeah.
spend time with your daughters and get to know them on a deeper level because you've taken that time out for yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a real journey. I've learned a lot along the way. It's helped me. I've lost a few friends along the way, but I've also gained some awesome friends as well. Probably gained more friends than I've lost. But going through changes like that, where you might have met someone through your partner, or there were functions, Christmas functions where you would go and spend it with another group of people, and then when you separate, that changes, that dynamic changes. So you lose some people along the way, but that's been fine. I'm okay with that. And the other thing is, I think I've learned to be a lot more vulnerable, whereas before, probably 2 years ago, I was quite proud, and I was probably too proud to be vulnerable. And I think part of joining the men's group and talking openly in front of a bunch of men who they've all got their own different stories, but they're happy to talk and be vulnerable. It allows you to be vulnerable as well. So I've learned that along the way. There's just been so many things I've learned. So I mean, I'm actually grateful, and it's funny because I think I'm happier now than I've ever been before. But I'm still on this journey, I believe in continuous improvement and trying to be better than I was the day before. So, and also trying to remind yourself, because it's very easy to forget. So you learn these lessons, but then you forget the lessons. So you've got to remind yourself.
So the lessons that you've learned along the way.
Yeah. There's just been so many lessons that I've learned along the way. And, yeah, it's just, been great, and I've really enjoyed it. And, like I said, I feel happier than I've ever been before. And through the coaching course, I think I said to you before that I've met this woman. Her name's Eliz. She lives in San Francisco, and I'll be flying out. I'm flying to see my brother in a week's time. He lives in New Hampshire. I haven't seen him for 7 years, and I've never met his children. He's got two beautiful daughters that I haven't met. I've only met them online, so I'm going to be meeting them in just over a week, and then I'll spend a week with Eliz in San Francisco. So I've never been to San Francisco, so looking forward to that. I've been to the States before, but I've never spent time in San Francisco. And then I'll get back here, and then it's getting going with my coaching business, and also I'm in the process of buying a business. So hopefully that transfer will happen early April is the plan. There's a lot going on.
Congratulations. Yes, a lot of
Thanks.
exciting things in the works. It sounds like to take a leap of faith on yourself.
That's
Right?
right.
Yeah.
So I resigned in February last year, so it's actually been like almost 12 months now that I haven't been doing a corporate professional job, like what I trained to do. I think a lot of people would be stressing, like, I haven't really earned much income over the last 12 months. Most people would probably be stressing, thinking, geez, I can just see my bank account going. But I feel like it's time I'm spending on myself and rebuilding myself and making myself stronger. And I do. Physically, I'm stronger, and mentally, I feel a lot stronger. So, but I am ready for this challenge. And well, buying this business is going to be that challenge. And then also starting up the coaching business will be a bit of a sideline gig at the moment. But I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm needing it. I'm ready for it. So, yeah.
And energized for it, as you said. Your cup's more full now than I like how you mentioned earlier that it's been 12 months since you've resigned, but you're the happiest that you've ever been, and you've found this new relationship now that you've taken time to get to know yourself a little bit better. And then I think that's the best part about getting into a relationship with someone new or starting to look at finding a relationship after you've spent some time with yourself is that you know what you're looking for, right? Because
Yeah,
you can find that person that might be a better match for you because you know who you are more than anything.
definitely. I've spent a lot of time, yeah, figuring out myself, but also figuring out what type of woman or partner do I want or need. So, and I've spent a lot of time on that. So I know what I need. I know what I want. But, and the fact that this woman was also doing the same course, the Jay Shetty course, I think just
Yeah.
that on its own shows that she's got a very similar mindset. We're on the same path, whereas my previous partner, we were on totally separate paths. It was just totally different. And that's knowing that she's on the same path counts a lot. And I suppose I'm a lot happier with myself, and then that obviously reflects, and she can see that as well, and maybe that's how we got attracted to each other. And one thing she keeps reminding me of is that if you don't love yourself, then you're going to battle to love other people. So you've got to love yourself, and I suppose I'm still working on that. That's a continuous thing, but I'm more aware of the concept of loving yourself. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, loving yourself first, it opens so many doors, right? In terms of your relationships with other people. It's like relationships as a parent, relationships professionally, relationships with significant other,
Yeah,
being in alignment.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I feel like we're aligned. And talking about alignment, like my engineering career for me, I did not feel aligned with my engineering career because the last job I had was project managing, which was to do with a coal mine. Disagree with that concept, like still mining coal for fuel. You're still creating greenhouse gases, emitting carbon into the atmosphere. And I was working for building this project, and it just didn't align with me. So at the back of my mind, it was probably subconscious. It just didn't align. Yeah, that's another reason why I stepped away from it.
I did want to ask you too, what was it? What was the mindset that attracted you to this career that you weren't aligned with for so long that kept you there? Because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that.
I think it's because it's all I knew. And first of all, you go to university, you spend lots of money going to university, and you spend time there. Like I spent 4.5 years at university studying engineering. Then you come out of that, and then you start your career. And I was in that career for 20 years. And then you think to yourself, okay, now to step into something completely different. First of all, you're gonna have to drop a huge amount in salary. So the money is the thing, is like the draw card, is knowing that you're not going to be able to earn the same sort of salary that you were earning before. And let's just say you've bought a house. Like housing here in Australia is really expensive. Houses here are really expensive. So if you're in debt, you kind of feel trapped. You've got to earn a certain income to pay off your expenses. So you can't afford to really stop doing that and doing something completely different. So I think that's one big thing. But for me, everything changed. So like we ended up selling our house. I ended up getting money in the bank. So, obviously the family broke down in terms of we had to separate. We're living in two different houses, but we share the children now. So the children come to me for 7 days, and then they're with my ex-partner for 7 days. So we do that swap every 7 days. I suppose selling the house, getting that liquid cash available has helped me take that step. So I suppose you get stuck. You end up getting trapped. You trap yourself because the more money you earn, the more you spend, get into debt, and the more you want to earn. It's just a cycle. So it's difficult. It's really, I would say it's a fear of not knowing that you're not going to be able to earn that money and then to pay off your expenses. And then what do you do? So it is difficult to make that shift. But I suppose with me, the pain of staying there, the pain of staying where I was staying was far greater than the pain of moving and doing something different. So when that pain overcomes the other pain, then you make the move.
It sounds like it became an easy choice after that once you weigh the pros and cons. Do you feel like as a man there were certain pressures to stay in this career where you felt like, oh, I'm making so much money, like was it like a part of your identity? Was it part of like, this is how I take care of my family? Or
Yeah,
and then weighing that against like taking care of them emotionally and what is valued the most, what would make the most impact?
Yeah. The identity thing, yes. Engineering for me was a big part of my identity. Also I felt that if I moved away from that I would disappoint people. Like I'd disappoint my parents. I think my dad especially he never went to university, so he was very proud of the fact that I went to university, got a degree and all of that, and became qualified. And I think he's been proud of that, you know. So for me to not change, he doesn't say it, but I felt like he'd be disappointed. But actually, that's not important. What's important is that you're happy yourself and to make yourself happy. And that's what I ended up learning as well, is that I don't have to make other people happy. I want to make myself happy. And I think to some extent, I was making others happy and pleasing others. So it's looking inward and finding out what do you actually want out of life. Because the other thing is, I'm not getting younger, you know. I'm 48 years old now. I've just turned 48. So, you know, I'm not going to live on this earth forever, and I've got to make the most of it. So, yeah, that'll help me make the move as well. It's not for other people; it's for myself, and I've got to make myself happy.
I love that. Thank you. I did have another question for you. If someone were watching this podcast, like if it's a wife watching this podcast and she's thinking, oh my gosh, that's me, or oh my gosh, that's my husband, and what would you recommend for her to say to her significant other to let them know that it's okay to choose themselves first, to create a safe space for that? What would you have wanted to hear? What did you need to hear?
From a partner, significant other.
Is that okay to ask?
Yeah, no, there's the biggest thing for me is having the support. Like if I knew my partner supported me 100%, I would move mountains. And I don't think I didn't have that. I didn't feel that. And I know that now. And I think I've learned a lot leaving the relationship and moving out of the relationship and looking back. I think I've learned a lot more about how it was when I was compared to being in it and stuck in it. When you're stuck in it, you can't really see. You can't really see anything else. It's all you know. But separating and moving out of that relationship and then looking back and reflecting, I can see where the errors were. And yeah, for me, it's having the support, just my partner verbally saying to me that she supports me and she'll whatever I decide to do, she'll always be there. So I think that's important, is knowing that you have that trust, you have each other's back. That's it.
Thank you. I think that's good advice too, because I feel like so many times in relationships we make assumptions, right? Or someone might be looking at their significant other thinking like, oh, he's just working, he just loves his job. But like what you're saying is there's room for that conversation. If you know, um, and if you let your partner know, like, hey, we're here together no matter what do you need?
Mm.
Then there's room to talk about so things can
Yeah,
change. Yeah.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
I mean, I think for a long time I wasn't unhappy in my career. Like I used to complain a lot, and I was aware of that fact. So I'd sometimes just put on a happy face. You know, I'd get home from work and just put on a happy face. But you can only put on a happy face for so long. You know, pretend for so long, and then eventually the wheels fall. Something triggers you, and well, something would trigger me, and wheels would fall off. But yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about making a change, it's not an easy decision to make. But at the same time, I think the risk of not making that decision uh, means that you could be living a life that you're unhappy in, and you could probably make a far more impact, a far greater impact in the world if you did something that you're really passionate about. But the other problem is a lot of people don't know what their passion is, and I suppose I didn't really know either. And it took me to hit rock bottom to figure that out. And maybe sometimes that's what you need.
Mm. To spark the introspection. Yes.
Yeah, really go inwards and figure out what's really important in life. I'm a lot better now, but I still do worry about people judging me. I still worry about judgment, but that was much stronger back then, and now it's less. I mean, changing career, going from having a title of a senior project manager on a project sounds fantastic, but when you're in it and you're not enjoying it, well, you might be earning the money, but you're spending every day because I mean, you spend most of your time at work, right? You're spending most of your time in something that you don't really love. It's not great.
No.
But and making the switch is not easy because you do start from the bottom again, but that's fine. It doesn't take long before you pick up and take off, especially if you're happy, if you're much happier.
Is that what you would say to someone who's worried about judgment from others? What they're saying, oh my gosh, I'm so burnt out in my career and I don't like my job or I hate my job. It's sucking the life out of me. What would you say to them to help them to overcome that fear?
But there's that question that we were taught, I think, during the course is how would your life be if you carried on where you are right now into the future? Like how would you see your life continuing the way it is right now? And versus if you now change and do something you're passionate about and love, there's those two different paths. Trying to imagine in 10 years' time how you would be. I mean, if you stay where you are now, you might end up becoming very depressed, unhappy, your marriage, you separate from your wife. That's all those things that could happen. But if you go on choose your other path that you're passionate about, how good would your life look then? So it's like, can you afford to stay doing what you're doing now, or can you afford to doing something completely different and being happy?
I love that. Thank you, Mark, for coming and sharing your wisdom with us today on business coaching, navigating burnout, and finding your purpose. If someone was watching this podcast and they were thinking to themselves, that's that's me. I'm trapped in a job that I hate and I am on a hamster wheel. I don't know how to get out. I need some help, but maybe I want to change my what I do for work-life balance. Maybe I want to change my career. Maybe I don't know what I want to do for a career. I'm looking to find my purpose. How would they reach out to you for life coaching services?
I'm in the process of starting up a website. It will be, sorry, redefineyourselfcoaching.me. And my email address is Mark, M-A-R-K, at redefineyourselfcoaching.me.
Perfect.
So those are the two ways.
Perfect. And I will leave Mark's information here below so you guys can find him and check out everything that he's doing. He is a wonderful coach. Mark, thanks again for joining us. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care.
Thanks, Veronica. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks, Mark.